All right, guys. So we are going to try to wrap up the show here with these last. There's quite a few topics, so we're going to try to get through them all in like a quick. We've been running kind of long with some of these initial topics here, so we're going to try to break some of these down in a more quick manner. But we do have like some rather large things we need to discuss here. This first one we're going to get into here is we kind of foreshadowed it a little bit before, but with the Christopher Nolan making his big announcement that he was essentially done with Warner Brothers. There have been obviously some other studios out there trying to court him, and there's been some recent developments anyway. Then the film boss guy at Netflix, for whatever reason, his name is escaping me. I can't remember what his name is, but the guy who's in charge of the film division at Netflix has pretty much come out and said he's had a couple of different interviews come out here lately, and he is one gone on and said prior to this interview here, or maybe been during it like earlier on while they were speaking, he addressed a problem that I've always said that they had, where they've been very hit and miss with their films. And like I've always said, like for every one good movie on Netflix, you get 10 shit ones. You know, you get like those, and not no disrespect to like Adam Sandler by any means at all, but you get for one Old Guard or for one Irishman, you get 10 shitty Adam Sandler movies that nobody watches, and, like, it just continues on like that, and they've always pretty much knocked it out of the park with their original series, so it's really odd that they just, like, make all these shitty movies, and then they just make these amazing TV series. It's super weird, but the the lead of the film division, I don't know why his name is escaping me, but he actually addressed that. He said that it's something they need to do better, and then he went on to say later on that like he's going to do everything in his power to get Christopher Nolan to come over and make films with net for Netflix. And Scott Stuber is his goddamn name. I knew it. I knew it. I knew he had a weird name that was like a movie, and I couldn't remember what it was. They had that Stuber movie with Batista and Kumail and Johnny. I can't believe his name escaped me because that's how I always remember his name. But nevertheless, I never watched that movie. Maybe that's why. Um, I think this would be a big thing, but the one thing that Netflix would have to do in order to get Christopher Nolan on board with coming over to them, obviously be a huge coup for Netflix. As John stated earlier, he's exclusively worked with Warner Brothers his entire career for the most part. Every movie, like he's exclusively been with Warner Brothers, and he's pretty much done with that now. Seemingly, they might be able to work it out with him. And like I said, they did work some stuff out with Gal Gadot and Patty Jenkins, and presumably with Legendary and Dune. They've been trying to appease and repair relationships. It seems anyway, so maybe they'll be able to repair this one too. You never really know. But I would honestly kind of like to see this happen in a lot of ways. I think it would be. There's one thing, John, and like I want your opinion on this too. There's one thing that I've actually found quite odd with Netflix's approach here with how they do their film releases and everything. With their TV series, it's fine. Like if they want to do like drop it all at once, go for it. If that's what they want to be known for, is like we just have all our shit available and it's all here for everybody. Cool. Because it's not the good thing for them to do by any means. Because like you don't get the whole momentum. Like everybody for 6 weeks, all anybody was talking about was Loki. You know what I mean? When you drop it
Yeah.
all at once, people get through that in a day, and so you get 1, maybe 2 weeks of buzz around your show, and then everybody
Yeah.
moves on. And then that's what happens with every single Netflix show. It's like, everyone loves Stranger Things, but the whole season drops, everybody watches it within a week or 2, and then no one gives a shit about it anymore. No one's talking about it.
Yeah.
With Mandalorian and everything on HBO, like Game of Thrones, these week-to-week things when, like, that's what everybody's talking about. It's that water cooler thing, and the other kinda nice thing about doing the weekly releases is, for the most part, everybody following the show, everyone's caught up. Everyone's on the same part of the show. You drop something on Netflix and you release everything at once, I might not start watching at the same time as you. I don't have time to catch up. You're gonna get 4 episodes in. I'm on episode 1. I can't talk to you about it because you're so far ahead of me. Like, you lose a lot of that stuff. So the whole water cooler aspect of it is completely lost. And just by virtue of their release schedule. But if that's what they want to do, because that's what they think, their consumers are used to, which they kind of are for their series, then that's fine. I honestly don't understand why, now that they've gotten as big as they are, and they have been trying to like make a lot more of these big plays for actual like movies, why they don't just follow the normal goddamn release schedule for the movies. Because like you just release the movie in theaters, after its theatrical run, it's on Netflix. Why is that complicated? It
Yeah.
makes no sense to me. Like, I don't know why they haven't been doing that ever since they became a huge, big conglomerate. Like, when they were first starting out, sure, just dump all your content on there because that's your thing. That's what you have. But, when like when they did The Irishman, they put it in theaters for a week and then just dump it on Netflix. Like, why not just let it do a regular theatrical run, then put it on Netflix? Like, who cares? Like,
Yeah.
everybody knows that it's gonna be on Netflix. Like, you can even put it in, like, your trailers for everything. Like, you could market it knowing such. And you don't have to do it with all your movies. But, like, all the ones that are a big deal for, like, Christopher Nolan, obviously you're gonna have to put them in theaters exclusively for 3 months, or he's not gonna come talk to you. Like, that's gonna be, like, what that conversation would start and end with that. Like,
Yeah.
if Scott Stuber calls up Christopher Nolan, the first thing he's gonna say is, "Am I gonna get a theatrical release?" Because if
Exclusive theatrical release.
exclusively, because if not,
Not
the conversation's over, like,
Yeah.
period. He's not gonna budge on that, doesn't matter how much money they throw him, it doesn't matter. I mean, everybody can be bought. I will say everybody could be bought, but in some way, he is going to enforce a exclusive theatrical window for some sort of amount of time, because there's really no like I said, I don't see any downside to them actually releasing their goddamn good movies. For one, they need to just focus on making good movies and stop making all the shit movies. Like, in all honesty, they just need to actually address that problem first. But then Apple does it, Amazon does it, every other movie studio in the world does it. They make a movie, it goes in theaters, and then it goes on their streaming service. Now, granted, everything's kind of gone to shit this year. Warner Brothers has kind of gone against that for this year, and so is Disney Plus, obviously. But that's just the way things go. So, do you think there's any reason they haven't been doing that to begin with? Because I honestly think it's super strange that they haven't wanted to do that. Like, other than like the consumers being used to it and all their movies have been kind of shit, but there have been some good ones that they do give a theatrical window so they can be up for awards consideration. That's the bottom line they've always minimum done is any movie they think is good, Marriage Story, Irishman, they give it a week in the theaters because that's the bare minimum they need to do to be eligible for Oscars, and that's all they've ever done. But I don't know why they don't just do it. Just make movies like a normal studio does and then put it on your streaming service, and there you go. You get your cake and you eat it too. They would make more money.
Yeah, yeah, I think that there would be a part of me as a CEO or as a higher up at Netflix that would be worried about doing that just because people people have their Netflix accounts and it's as I don't know what the right word is. It's as much a part of their life as their email account and their it's just it's an integral part of their life at this point. Netflix has been around for over a decade now. Um, Maybe even like 15, 20 years if you factor in their mailing services. There are people that, Netflix is just it's part of their monthly bills. Like it's like their water bill or their heating bill. Like it just comes and they just pay it, and because that's just something that they need in their life.
I don't even
Yeah,
watch it myself anymore. My wife will get
yeah,
on there and use it. There's nothing like when The Witcher comes out, I'll watch The Witcher. When Stranger
sure,
Things 4 comes out, I'll watch that. But I
sure.
just pay for it I don't
You just
it just
Yeah,
is what it is. Like it just
sure.
goes like whatever.
It and so I think because of that relationship or that feeling that they've built up, I think people have I don't know what the right word is. They have like a investment in it, and I can see as a consumer if I'm paying for Netflix and I've been supporting Netflix for all this time, if Netflix all of a sudden comes out and says, you know what, we've got this really awesome movie that we've made and it's great and like we can't wait for you to see it. But we're going to show it to the people in the theaters first. So you can go see it, but you're going to have to pay us even more money to go catch it in the theater and then it will come to streaming. Like, I understand that's the typical release for typical production studios, but Netflix has already kind of established this method of release that I think might irk some people off. I think they do run a risk of alienating a section of their population who feels like they're Netflix diehards and they expect Netflix items to be available on Netflix when they get released. They don't want to hear about, oh, well, after 3 months. That being said, as you said, there's no way in the world they get the next Christopher Nolan film unless they give. Christopher Nolan loves the theater. One of the reasons I probably love Christopher Nolan movies is because he makes movies for the theater experience. And as much as people have issues sometimes with story or plot holes in them and stuff, there's no denying the spectacle and just the excitement and the thrilling aspect of going and seeing a Christopher Nolan film on the big screen. And some of those, even simple stuff, just like the panoramic views and the director of photographies that he works with and is so close with it, that just get these amazing visual shots that look so good on a theater screen. Like, that guy loves the theater, and so he's not going to not want his movie to have a run in the theater. Now, maybe he's willing to work with Netflix and say, hey, I'm okay doing 6 weeks, 2 months. Maybe I'm okay having a shorter window than I'm used to, but I definitely want people to be able to experience my movie the way I film them and intend them to be seen. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But maybe Netflix does it with Christopher Nolan and tells everybody, look, this is a special thing. Like, we had the chance to work with Christopher Nolan. We're going to do this with Christopher Nolan, and we're going to put it in theaters first because that's what this director wanted to work with us to do. And see how it goes. If they don't get a lot of flack, a lot of blowback on it, then maybe they do that going forward with some of their other films. But I just I do personally understand the hesitancy, because I personally feel like I would be a little upset with a company that I loved. I love them because I don't have to go to the theater. They bring their content to me. I pay them my money each month, and each month I'm able to access everything that they have. And to be able to not access something would be a little frustrating.
I totally get that, but I also feel like the people who feel that way aren't the biggest like cinephiles, in my opinion.
True.
I think like those are the people who like honestly care more about like the series being dropped at once. Because like we've talked about this before, where like I honestly think Netflix should start doing a week to week release for their bigger shows. But I
Yeah.
honestly don't think they ever will, because I think that would alienate their audience more so than putting a movie out in theaters like a normal movie studio would. Because in the end, you still get that movie brought to Netflix. It still comes to Netflix exclusively, so you get it in your subscription. Unlike Disney Plus, they're making you pay for it explicitly to get it on their service if you want to watch early. With this, you'd still just get it for free, and if you wanna see it, a month or 2 earlier, you go to the theater and see it. Like,
Hmm.
it's a little different, but I totally get your point, because then you run into there's people who would, quote, unquote, care, because then they're like, "Well, I gotta go see it if I wanna see it, because then I'm gonna be get spoiled." But I feel like
And there's
those
also
people don't care about movies that much.
Well, there's the FOMO and the fear of being spoiled. There's the fear of missing out. There's also the fear of not being part of the social discussion. So if
Mhm.
by telling them it's coming to Netflix in even a month is too long, because by that point, if a movie is that good, if it's that, like, if the next Christopher Nolan is an Inception level movie, and everybody that goes in the theater is talking about it and posting about it on Facebook, you're going to feel like you were left out of that conversation if you're the person that wants to wait at home. And you may not be the biggest cinephile, but you may be worried about your friends, and then you feel forced, and just that the idea of just creating that negative connotation with the company that they don't want.
Here's the thing, though. I could actually I'd be willing to bet that they wouldn't have to announce anything at all to their consumers, to anybody. All they would need to do is just, you know how a regular movie works, and the first you learn about it is a trailer comes out and it says in the trailer like who the production studio is with their logo. You just do that. You just release the trailer to this movie you've been working on, and then at the end of it, it says it has the Netflix logo instead of the Warner Brothers logo, and it says in theaters X day, and then that's it.
Yeah,
You don't have to make a thing of it. It's just like, okay, Netflix made a movie and it's gonna be in theaters on this day. That's all
yeah,
that's it. And then if they get asked, it's like, yeah, it's going in theaters first. Like, that's it. Like, and then when if
yeah,
because that's the thing is like I feel like if you get asked that, it's just like it's a movie, so we're putting it in theaters. And it's gonna be like, oh, okay, well, why isn't it going right on Netflix? Because it's a movie, so we're putting it in theaters. That's
yeah,
it. Like, you know what I mean? It's I feel like I totally am 100%. I know there would be people out there, but I feel like the people who would make a big deal about it are the people who wouldn't even notice that aspect of it. You know what I mean? If they
yeah,
just put it out there and had the logo come up and says Netflix when you're going in theaters, they wouldn't even fucking care. Like, they wouldn't even know rather. They'd care and they'd feel like they were being cheated something, but, like, in the end, I think they wouldn't even notice that kind of thing happening because 'cause there'd still be movies that would go exclusively to Netflix. You know,
sure.
like, they wouldn't like, Netflix wouldn't be putting all of their shit movies in there. They would just put the ones that they actually think deserves a theatrical run. Like a Christopher
Mhm.
Nolan movie is gonna go to theaters and then it'll go on Netflix. You know, same with everybody. Because I honestly think, though, the problem is too, you wanna know why we have a bunch of shit movies on Netflix? Because people like Christopher Nolan don't wanna make movies with them because they're not gonna put them in the theater.
Yeah,
So, honestly, their model has been keeping good directors and stuff from working with them because people like Chris Nolan and Denis Villeneuve and all these people who support and want a theatrical experience, Netflix wasn't offering it. So, like, frankly, that is the reason we've been getting shitty movies because no
yeah,
one wants to work with them that makes good movies. Like, in all honesty, that is definitely a part of it, in my opinion. So,
yeah, I
I don't know.
agree.
We'll just have to wait and see. I think it'll be good. But yeah, question is though, guys, what do you think about this? Do you think Christopher Nolan would work with Netflix for anything less than an exclusive theatrical window? Because I know everyone has their price, but I honestly feel like it would be rather impossible for Christopher Nolan to have a price tag on that. Because you got to think the guy's made a lot of money already, and he just wants to make his art, and he wants his art to be interpreted a specific way, even to a fault. I say, because he will make an entire movie where you can't understand a goddamn word anybody is saying, but that's how he wanted it to be, so that's how it was, and I'm looking at you, Tenet. So whatever you guys think, in the just let us know down in the comment section below.